Okay, so this video we'll be unboxing the two starter decks for the new card game Gate Ruler. The first one we'll start off with is the Giant Mechs and Yokai in Space. Then after that we'll do the Summon the Failed Dragons. I've actually already opened a copy of each of these, so then that way we save time on unwrapping all of the stuff inside of the product. So again, we'll start with the Giant Mechs and Yokai first. And again, so each of them will come with two different pamphlets. One is the field mat that comes with it, so that way you can see all the different zones for the game. And on the back they also have a like tutorial version, or like something to help you with all the different rules for the different zones as well, so that way if you ever need to know. So this is really good for like beginning players. You also have the rule book that teaches you how to play, going over the different card types, and in the back it actually has what the actual rulers do. So on the actual card it doesn't have all of the information for the ruler, so like such as like the deck construction rules are actually listed on this sheet. Okay, and then again, depending which ruler you have, your decks will be built certain ways. So for the Yokai one, the Yokai in Space one is with the Apprentice. And then one thing to note is that the difference between this one and the Japanese version is that the Japanese version, they're rulers. So this is an Apprentice too, but it's for the female variant. But you notice it has the QR code here. So before in Japan, you could just scan the QR code and it will link you to the site that gives all of the information for the rulers, like what the deck instructions are. Whereas the American version doesn't have that. It just tells you to go to the site to look up the official rules for it, or you use the rulebook inside of the starter deck. So you do get one ruler, your Apprentice. Okay? Then if it'll focus, and then you'll get two Yakobu. One is foil, one is not. Okay? So you don't get like four of everything in the starter deck, because again, for like with Apprentice, one of the main build deck rounds is that you have to have a certain number of cost, and you can't go over it. Okay? So it's for balancing issues. You have three of this guy. You have a playset of Exo Armor, two of this Exo Armor, three of Joe, three Jindai, three Inagi, and you also have three of the Split Second, and then three of Desperate Resistance. You have four copies of Gallica Swordmaster Goldizer. You have one of Space Ninja Silverfang. The only reason why this one's a one of is because it's a legend. And then again, for deck construction rules, you can only all three of them can only have at the moment two legends, and each legend has to be unique. So for like that's why the only reason why this is one of in the starter deck. You have four of Hetty. You have two Milkway Patrol. Three Space Dulan. Then you have two Emergency Fusion now. Four Blaster Cannon. And then lastly you have four Jauntings. Okay. So with this deck, again, it doesn't come with four of everything. So like personally for me, the reason why I picked up multiple copies of the deck was because I wanted to have a playset of each card. And then unlike other games, because of the legend rule with like say Space Ninja here, because it is a legend, even though there's only one, for this game especially, I would consider a playset actually like for normal cards would be like five copies of one, and then for legends would be like two copies, just so that way I can build one normal deck, whether it be any of the other rulers, or one of the rulers is also a Highlander where everything is a one of, so that way 5 copies would be good for like building two separate decks, and then having two legends means that I can play a legend in like two separate decks as well. So that's like for me a playset would be like 5 of normal cards and then 2 of each legends, which is why I would consider picking up multiple starter decks. Okay, so then now we'll move on to the Summon the Fell Dragons. Okay, so this one is supposed to be... the one thing good about this game too is that the Apprentice is actually probably a more of a beginner one because of the way the rulers play out. And again, if you want to know how to play, there's probably other videos going over how to do that. But this is probably one of the more easier to get into for a lot of for most players. And then whereas this one, the Fell Dragons, is going to be a little bit more advanced because of the type of deck building that the ruler has. So with this one is the Knight. So the one difference with the Knight is that this one actually requires you to pay costs. And again, if you want to know how to learn to play the game, there are probably other videos out there how to do that as well. Okay, but this is your Knight ruler. Comes with 2 Vastoris Rex. Again, 1 foil, usually 1 not. I'm actually not a fan of when card games do this, where, you know, like there's a starter deck and then one's foil, one's not, because like if I want to place it of all foil, I'd have to buy more. But with this one, there are you can get copies in the actual booster set because it did include the high rarity pack, which is similar to like Magic's collector boosters, where they have like foil variants, and then they also have foil variants of all of the trial deck cards as well in there. For this one, you have 4 Priests, 3 Deathbringer, 3 Fell Dragon, 3 Dark Knight, Dark Knight Geist, and another Dark Knight, but a Reaver. You have 3 March of Despair, or March of Darkness, sorry. 4 of Absolute Field, 4 Noxgens, 3 Soldiers, 4 Johan, 2 Midas, 4 Jack the Ripper, and then 3 Niblung. And then you also have 3 Steel Storm. You have your legend for this one is Win-Win, and again, because of legend, because this card is also really good, that I would consider picking up multiple copies of, because in case you do make multiple decks, sometimes this card will be pretty highly used in a lot of the energy-based decks. You also have 2 Making a Killings. And then as well for energy, again, for resources, they'll notice on the top the deck comes with 3. So in the game you have 3 resources to play your cards, and it's similar to like Magic, where you rest them to use them for your energy. Okay, and then that will be all for this boxing on video. So again, the 2 starter decks, Giant Mechs and Yokai in space, and then there's the Summon the Fell Dragons. So this one is usually more for the beginner players, and then this one is probably a little more for advanced, like card game players in general. But again, both are pretty good to pick up, and again, hopefully this game takes off, and then later on there'll be hopefully other videos. We'll be doing unboxing for cases for the first set, and then we'll go over a little bit more in depth for some of those cards. Okay.